but dudes written's a product of my shrewd penning. Confused in it, I'm saying I've chewed mics to a crew likes delusions, exuberant mic.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. It's your boy MagMongoSlade. Let's get into NXT, July 13th, 2021. All right, so you start the show with Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai wins the match, which surprised the hell out of me. But Ember Moon is lost in the shuffle now, the shots he's been taking. So it is what it is. Solid match. So Xia Li came out post-match to confront Raquel Gonzalez, and it felt a little... Of course, Raquel accepted, because why wouldn't she? But this felt a little rushed to me. I mean, Xia Li is not ready to win the title yet. And I think that we should put some more steam behind her. Unless she's about to get punished for kicking Mercedes Martinez in the head and knocking her out, which will probably be the end of her push. And unless Xia Li wins the title, I can see her push pretty much fading here. And that's entirely possible, because she did, the last time she was out there, she did cold cock Mercedes Martinez, and she was like, man, she beat her like a putty in Power Rangers. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, dog. Anyway, Diamond Mine did a promo where basically they explained the stable, which they should have done the first week, which is they take and mold and recruit the best talent. They have the best fighters, the best coaches, and the best recruits. And then they put out an open challenge. Bobby Fish accepted the open challenge, but wanted to fight Roderick Strong. He was looking at Roderick Strong and was like, yeah, you and me, pretty much. But Malcolm Bivens decided that he was going to give him Tyler Rust. And so Tyler Rust won the match. Bobby Fish didn't even get a real entrance. He got a jobber entrance. So he doesn't even have his own theme song or anything like that. To explain Bobby Fish losing, he was distracted by Roderick Strong outside the ring. I know that Undisputed Era fighting each other is, the hot thing in NXT now. But there's this thing called an explanation. And why does Bobby Fish not like Roderick Strong? Like, there's no reason for them to be fighting. I guess we'll get the explanation some other time. But after the match, after Tyler Rust was victorious, Diamond Mine was going to move in and beat the hell out of Bobby Fish, which, that's okay too. But Kushida ran down to the ring to help them run off Diamond Mine. Okay. This works fine, I guess. It's kind of bland. Diamond Mine needs some charisma. They need some personality. They do not have a charismatic guy in this group. And it feels like American Imperium. That's kind of what it feels like to me. It feels like, oh yeah, we tried Imperium. That didn't work. We ended up firing Alexander Wolf. So we're just going to do American Imperium, but do Diamond Mine. And it's just going to be, an MMA-infused stable. I was like, I'm still on the fence. A lot of people are very negative about it. I'm going to stay on the fence. So then we started getting the Ikemen Jiro. Ikemen Jiro in the breakout tournament first round. So Ikemen Jiro did his promo where he says Ikemen means handsome in Japanese. And that, don't let my handsome face fool you. I will kick your ass. And talked about how it was his dream to be in WWE and how he looks up to the great Muta and all these kind of people. And now he's here in WWE to make his mark. He seems very charismatic. He's a goof. I guess he comes from one of those comedy stables in Japan. They have a lot of those comedy orgs where guys just do a lot of jokey stuff. He wrestles in a jacket, which was, hilarious. But his opponent is the guy who I was most interested in. It's Duke Hudson. Duke Hudson, who was originally Brandon Vink. Brandon Vink is great. His promo was very quick. He got to the point. He said a lot in a short amount of time, Basically, you know, I'm the biggest guy, best looking, best shape, broad shoulders, got the best ass in the business, which is of course too much information, but he's super confident. He's 6'5". He's from Australia, very quick-witted guy. I watched him in Evolve back when I watched Evolve because when the network was good, I watched Evolve backlog, and I keep my network very minimal these days. But I mean I watch it because I pay for it, but hey, I don't use it that often. Actually, I use it a little bit more than I used to because I've been watching old Raws and stuff. Be on the lookout for those Raw reviews. Anyway, we got this guy, and he's my favorite. Brandon Vink is ready for Vince. You know, he's a guy Vince would have, like, I know that they did have him on Raw for a little while. He was on Raw with Shane Thorne. And I heard that his name is Shane Thorne again. But he's not on TV, so it doesn't matter. Any event, they had their match, and it was solid. Ike Manjiro is fast. He's agile. He's silly. But they had Hudson just basically beat him up. You know, superior strength, superior technique. And beat him. First round, Jiro is out. Hey, it is what it is. Just because you lose doesn't mean it's over. You know, you're still in NXT. It's not like the loser doesn't get a contract or something like that. So the most fun we had all night, before we get down to some serious business, LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. This stuff was tremendous. You had LA Knight sitting around talking about he got himself a new butler and he called Grimes a troglodyte. Then Cameron Grimes showed up late, and then he told him, like, look, you're late. It's not good form. And then said that he had to force him to shave his beard and get a better haircut. So he made him get a makeover. And this began the trend that Cameron Grimes did everything with a smile. Like he wasn't miserable. He didn't make this a miserable experience. He made it something that, oh, you just want me to do what? Oh, that ain't no problem. I do that. Ain't no problem. So when he told him he had to cut the grass, I think that was the second one. The first one he made him get a makeover, which is supposed to be embarrassing, but it actually made Cameron Grimes look better. It made him look more clean. And he said, I didn't know about these gloves. I wasn't so sure about the gloves, but I love it. You know, he was excited to have a tuxedo. It's so ridiculous. But he made it work. And then when he told him he had to cut the grass, he thought he was going to use the big lawnmower or whatever. And he was like, nope. I thought he was going to give him like a pair of scissors or something like that, like real hoe him. Like that would have been funny. Like he made him cut his grass with like a pair of scissors. Like that would have been real asshole stuff. But he gave him like the little rolling lawnmower thing. And of course he did that with a smile with no problem. Then it was taking too long, so he hired him out. He took the job and he sold it to some kids. He had some kids cut LA Knight's grass and trim the hedges and everything. LA Knight was pretty pissed about that, even though he was the one paying the kids. So that was so weird to me that LA Knight was mad that Cameron Grimes was paying kids to do the job. Like, if you just wanted the job done, you know, then it should be okay that Cameron Grimes pays somebody else to do it. He's a millionaire. So I like that too. Like, he's still a millionaire. So he's not, you know, he's not dumb. But we all have to understand that I think the point of this was that it wasn't about the money or it wasn't about the task. LA Knight is trying to humiliate Cameron Grimes and failing to do so because Cameron Grimes is a hillbilly. So all of this stuff is not bad to him, or it pales in comparison to what he actually has. Like when he started talking about the size of his lawn, he's like, this little old thing, and thought he was going to be able to get done with it real fast. And it turned out that he was going to make it harder. He made it harder for him on purpose. So that's really what it is here is now that, you know, we see that Cameron Grimes ain't scared to get his hands dirty. This is mostly going to be about LA Knight trying to humiliate Cameron Grimes. And then through some chicanery, we got some comedy where LA Knight got knocked into the pool and he was furious at at the thought of it. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. They're gonna come up with all these silly things, and Cameron Grimes gonna keep finding ways out of it or doing things that that LA Knight hates, and gonna give him a conniption. So he's not gonna give him the satisfaction of being miserable in doing this job. So this is gonna be fun. So we get Gigi Dolan versus Saray. This match was not bad. This was the first non-tampon match I've ever seen for Gigi Dolan. So, it was a decent match. It was, their timing and chemistry was a little off. And, it was pretty clear that, maybe it was a language thing. But you could tell that Gigi Dolan has some charisma. She got some personality. And since Toni Storm is leaving, she's a good replacement. She's a little bit thinner, but she's a little bit, I don't want to say sexier, but she oozes a lot more confidence. Like, Toni is just sexy without trying. But, Gigi Dolan is trying a little bit harder, and because she doesn't really have the shape and the form. But she has a cool factor. I could see Gigi Dolan getting over. In any event, Saray is, of course, a work rate because she's Japanese. So she's extra happy kawaii. And everything, and it's all cool. But the weird thing here was that Mandy Rose came out, and everybody flipped their lid. So many people were like, "What the hell is she doing here?" And I was sitting here thinking the same thing, like, "What is Mandy Rose? What is this about?" And they went throughout the entire show, didn't explain at all what she was doing there. They gave some hints that she was interested in, she's scouting talent or something like that, but didn't really get into it, And I'm interested. Like, I know that every time somebody is disgruntled or off TV for a little while, people get the whole, why can't they go back to NXT? And I literally tweeted this out. And I think my tweet went exactly, the WWE Universe or us, the fan base. Why don't you just send Andrade back to NXT? And WWE was just kind of like, And then, people would say, well, at least send Aleister Black back to NXT. And they'd be like, I don't know. And they say, the best I could do was Mandy Rose. Take it or leave it. I'll send Mandy Rose back. Take it or leave it. Until it's fully revealed what she's there for, I'll withhold judgment. But just her being there was a legitimate surprise. I thought she was there to scout Gigi Dolan, which is what I think she is there to do. So I think that they're probably going to put together another faction with maybe Gigi Dolan and what was that, Aaliyah, who is maybe y'all ought to talk about Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea and all that stuff right now. All right, so let's talk about that right now because that kind of fits in. So Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah were defeated by Kacy Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, the Mighty Midgets. But a 450 splash and a net breaker. Kacy Catanzaro and Kaden Carter are very cute. They're very fast, but they're also very small. This left Robert Stone pretty upset because Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea continue to lose, and they always lose. And for some reason, he took his shoe off. And I was just kind of like, what? I think maybe he was trying to cheat. I looked away for a moment. I gotta admit. I was like, okay. Anyway, Aaliyah snapped on Robert Stone, says that she has done more for him than anybody, and that she's always had his back. And, she says she's done, and she smacks him. And then she just, out of nowhere, just keeps hitting him. Just continue to abuse Robert Stone. And Jessie Kamea just kind of stood there and watched as this happened. She didn't try to help. She ain't like, yeah, me too, or whatever. But it turned into a pretty big babyface pop for Aaliyah, who strolled away, excited, liberated, I guess you could say. Jessie Kamea was still there outside the ring, and Robert Stone was like reaching for her. So then here comes Frankie Monet and, Taya Valkyrie. And she comes out there and she just kind of whispers some sweet nothings to Jessie Kamea, and Jessie Kamea leaves with her, and Robert Stone follows them. and he's still following them around. I don't know if he's walking with them or he's just following them. When they bump into Mandy Rose backstage, and Mandy Rose says, it looks like the Robert Stone brand is under new management. So it's like, okay, what does that mean? Like, and why does she care? So, we have to ask that question, like, what is going on here? And I like some genuine intrigue, So I started thinking about what kind of people fit with Mandy Rose, and Gigi Dolan is one. I definitely believe that Frankie Monet is another one. They could fit. I could see Mandy Rose with them. They seem to all fit together pretty well. The question is whether Robert Stone's going to still be there or not. And of course, what is Frankie Monet? What is her plan? Like, of course, she's going to have her own stable, which is fine. I love that idea. That's the best idea they come up with in a long time. But Mandy Rose was a pretty big surprise. And I was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what we're doing here, but let's let it play out. Let's let it play out. Also, I said all that and didn't notice that basement drop kick from Saray where she kicked Gigi Dolan in the face. Brutal. Anyway, Santos Escobar cut up. He's back. Yay. He comes back just in time just after Swerve wins the title. He comes back. He's up. He's called Reed and Swerve, Bronson Reed and Swerve winners, but they're lucky. And then they said that they talked about how much they hated the cipher, the Hit Row cipher. They hated it. And Joaquin Wilde said he can't do his signature dance to that music. Then Santos Escobar called Hit Row losers and said, and then he called Dexter Lumis a loser. Then Santos Escobar defeated Dexter Lumis with the Phantom Driver. They cheated. Of course they did, because Dexter Lumis is a babyface. So of course they're going to cheat. There was some silliness, of course, where Escobar got pulled under the ring by Lumis, who was hiding under the ring. It was weird. Anyway, after the match, Hit Row, they confronted Legado del Fantasma, and there was a tense stare down between the two of them, a lot of jaw jacking. Basically, Hit Row, saying like, you had words like, do what you gonna do, buddy. Do what you gonna do, bud. And Legado del Fantasma didn't do anything because, of course, they're heels, and this is a heel program because Hit Row are also heels. WWE just does not have baby faces anymore. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to beat the tar out of all the baby faces and the heels are going to fight each other. Weird. Speaking of weird, then they tried to reenact Index. This comes from an earlier segment where Indy Hartwell was gossiping with Beth Phoenix, was trying to figure out who was, interested in what happened after she got carried off by Dexter Lumis. And Indy Hartwell's like, I wanted something to happen, but he was a perfect gentleman. And, then Beth Phoenix told her to take a chance. So after Dexter Lumis got his ass kicked by Legado del Fantasma, she came out there to carry him off. And he was, of course, too heavy, and they both fell. Which was actually pretty funny. And then she moved in to kiss him, and Candice LeRae shoved her off and broke up the whole ordeal because Candice LeRae is, I don't know, she's married to a virgin. So nobody can get laid if she can't get laid, apparently. That sounds fair. That's kind of how it is. So they did a sit-down interview, Wade Barrett and Kyle O'Reilly, where Kyle O'Reilly talked about losing being a part of life. And that, when he goes back and watches that match, he doesn't see that he has any killer instinct. And says that he needs his soul back, and he's the only man who can finish Adam Cole. Later in the show, Adam Cole called Kyle O'Reilly a loser, said that he beat the first unsanctioned match was a fluke, and that, he's going to deal with Adam Cole, or he's going to deal with Kyle O'Reilly, rather, on his own time. Then he basically called Samoa Joe a coward and said that, he's an overpaid security guard, and that nobody in NXT is man enough to go one-on-one with him, which brought out Bronson Reed, who said he's got nothing else left to lose, and that, he sees that Adam Cole's an opportunity. He's Got his eyes on the bigger prize. Okay, so there's a lot here. I like the sit down with Wade Barrett and Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know what they're doing with Kyle. He just takes one step forward and one step back, so he never really goes anywhere. He just takes one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. So it just is what it is. Adam Cole is essentially standing in the same place on the top of the mountain, yelling at people at the bottom. That's essentially been his character for almost a year now, where he just kind of stands in one place and yells at everybody else. Bronson Reed, I don't know how much longer he's going to be there, but Bronson Reed versus Adam Cole should be fine. I'm telling you now, the moment the fat guy takes the Panama Sunrise, I will be mad, and you will be hearing about it here on this channel. I see it happening. I see it happening. I see, Adam Cole telling this guy Panama Sunrise, and then he has to do a flip to do this power driver. And I'm not going to be a happy camper when they do that. I'm not going to be happy at all. Let's back up. We got Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. Pete Dunne is still, he's the Jade Cargill of NXT. He really only has one thing to say. I'm the baddest man in NXT. Prove me wrong. That's pretty much all he says. In this case, once he says that, Timothy Thatcher got in his face because Thatcher and Ciampa are super aggressive. And says, like, are you the baddest? Are you the best technical wrestler? Who wants to know? And then they get into a fight. And they all fight. At least this is babyface versus heels. At least this is babyfaces and heels. At least it's Pete Dunne doing something other than standing still talking about he the baddest man in NXT. And that's pretty much it. So that was fine. So I guess all we got left is the main event, right? Let's see, looking at this. Yes, all we got left is the main event. So earlier in the show, Joe was trying to talk to Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross was ignoring him. He was focused on training. He ain't got time for no neck Samoa Joe, Ninja Turtle Joe. Then later, Gargano was trying to kiss ass, trying to give him t-shirts and stuff like that. It was ridiculous, of course. The match itself, though, was very good. I enjoyed it. Kross got over like $1 million here because he sold, of course, for Johnny Gargano, but he didn't look like a goddamn ape. He looked like a beast. He was, pretty much walking through Gargano's best stuff. His one final beat, he kicked out of it. Some of the stuff that Gargano really did to other guys, and the match wasn't 40 fucking minutes. So that also helped. But the side story to the match, obviously, was these 3 or 4 times during the match where Joe and Kross, had problems with each other. The first time was when Joe couldn't get Kross to let Gargano get back in the ring. He was kicking his ass outside the ring. Joe wasn't going to count him out, but he wasn't going to, withstand being ignored either. The second thing was Gargano grabbed the ropes while he was in the Kross jacket at one point, and Kross was a little reluctant to let go, and Joe had to get physical to get him to let him go. Kross didn't like that too much. And the third the third strike is where Kross was about to bash Johnny Gargano with the steps, and Joe took the steps from him, and that opened up some Johnny Gargano offense. So it was kind of like he distracted him so Johnny Gargano could get us some offense in. So they did a good job of really telling this story and really building this story over the last several weeks without much in the way of physicality. So after Kross's very dominant finish, and the finish was fantastic. He did like a triple power bomb, and then continued to maintain control of Gargano because he's small, and transitioned from powerbomb position to a Doomsday Saito. That was monstrous stuff, and could have finished him and pinned him right there, which what I would prefer what he had done. He then, of course, did the running forearm smash to the back of the head and pinned him that way. So it was a crushing victory for Karrion Kross. Really good, really solid match. Johnny Gargano did the right thing. I'm guessing he's probably going to be the end of the way thing, and he's probably going to have to morph into a different character. In any event, this was solid. After the match, Joe raised Karrion Kross's hand and was going to walk away. While then Kross just thought it would be a great idea to choke Joe out. And so he did. He choked out Samoa Joe, leading up to, we're going to have the match. The match is going to happen. Samoa Joe, Karrion Kross. I am excited. That's going to be dope. Of course, this is probably going to be the big send-off for Kross. But this is the right move. Let's have the biggest match you possibly can as NXT is prepared to go on the road. And I'm guessing they're going to do this big show for SummerSlam. Is it going to be SummerSlam? I don't know who I'm talking to. But is it going to be SummerSlam? SummerSlam weekend? That they're going to do a takeover? So if that's the case, then that's what they're shooting for. They're shooting for the biggest match possible. And that is the in-ring return of Samoa Joe to NXT. So I'm all about that. I'm 100% in on that. So NXT was solid this week. It was a one-match show. You really could, there was some interesting stuff for me. But some people might just care about the main event. So that's fine too. I'm very interested in what they're doing with NXT. They've rebooted pretty nicely. They lost quite a bit of talent, but it didn't seem like it. Mainly because Tegan Nox wasn't that integral into the show in the first place. So losing her didn't matter that much. They haven't taken any of the men out yet. Toni Storm also hadn't been doing anything for a while, so them taking her out didn't really bother storylines that much. And Shotzi Blackheart, which, she should be in the title picture, they easily was able to replace her with Xia Li. So they kind of explained that everybody was, they didn't explain, that everybody was gone. But they did a good job of just covering up, just moving everybody up and making this feel seamless. It didn't seem like when WWE did the big cuts and a bunch of people got fired, and then it was rematch city and people wrestling twice on the same show and that kind of shit. NXT didn't have that problem. They quickly just filled those spots of the missing people, which is what NXT is good for. That's what NXT is there for. There's tons of people in the Performance Center waiting for somebody to get hurt. And I know it sounds morbid, but that's how it is. They're waiting for somebody to get hurt. They're waiting for somebody to get released. They're waiting for somebody to quit. They're waiting for somebody to get called up, and then they get a shot. They got a queue. They got like a line of people out there, and then there's still some people injured who are, going to come back and get spots. So NXT did a good job of filling these major spots to people that were taken and putting on a good show. And now next week they got Xia Li and Raquel Gonzalez main event in the show. That ought to be interesting. I'm going to go with Xia Li. She better win. But she's not going to, but she should. She's probably going to get punished for kicking Mercedes Martinez in the head and and Mortal Kombat roundhouse kicking her in the head. It is what it is. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, donate via Subscribestar, or send cash via the Cash App. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question